Did you know that 2.64 billion people shop online? That makes up 47% of people who have access to the internet globally. Hi, I'm Preciado, and I'm going to talk about online shopping and how it is bad for our daily lives, and the environment, and ways you can reduce your online shopping. We have all done online shopping before, whether that's ordering food through an app, ordering clothes, ordering groceries, items, etc. I know I have, and the feeling of waiting for your package's arrival is such a great excitement, but we don't tend to know what that great excitement does to the environment. There are some problems you need to look out for when shopping online, and according to the Federal Trade Commission, they listed out some advice that can be useful for when you are shopping online. In the introduction, they state that before you buy something, shop around and check out sellers and products. Also, keep records of purchases like receipts or emails to make sure that you're holding the seller to its promises. And they also say to keep a critical eye on reviews because it tells a lot about a product and its seller, but be wary because some reviews may be fake. They also mention comparison shopping, which is basically looking out for other companies that have similar products. Keep an eye out for size, colors, and shipping fees. They also want you to keep an eye out for delivery, return, and refund policies because they say an FTC rule requires sellers to ship items as they promise in their ads. The last piece of advice I'm going to share is to pay with credit card when possible. Because if you pay with credit card and are charged twice for the same item, or you are charged for an item you never got, or you got the wrong item, then you are able to dispute the charge, according to the FTC. They also mention protection against scams when using a credit card because they want you to keep records on the company, such as their name and what you ordered, how much you paid, and the return policy. And they also want you to keep emails, receipts, or anything of that kind. Because the last thing that you want to know is what kind of information the website is taking from you and if you're okay with that sort of information that they're taking from you. Because they suggest before you use an app or website, make sure you're okay with how your information is used, shared, protected. If you're not, consider going to a different website or look for another app. This advice will ultimately help you in your process with shopping online. So now we're going to get into how online shopping is bad for the environment. Martina from Earth.org takes a look at a couple factors that make online shopping bad for the environment. Her first reasoning being the issue of over-packaging. She says that products packaging contributes to a large part of CO2 emissions in the environment. It's from producing plastics and they pollute ecosystems as well as adding enormous amounts of waste to our landfills. In the same paragraph, she mentions that 3 billion trees are used yearly to make shipping cartons, which, doing the math, is about 83 million tons, and that's not even 14% of these cartons are recycled. And that means, again, doing the math, from 83 million tons and 14%, only 11.62 billion cartons are recycled. The next thing she takes a look at is the impact of shipping goods. She says that the transport of goods across the world is responsible for a huge portion of CO2 emissions, which is generated by e-commerce. In 2020, the shipping and return of products accounted for 37% of total GHG emissions. She also mentioned that by 2030, there will be an estimate of 7.2 million delivery trucks, which will, for one, increase CO2 emissions but also increased traffic rates by 21%. Here is the graph from earth.org that shows us the percentages increasing, and I'm just going to give you guys a second to look at it. So, what are some solutions? How can I reduce my online shopping? According to Caitlin Harper from mywellbeing.com, she has listed various ways on how you can reduce shopping online. Think about this. Do you want to save money? Don't you want to pursue other hobbies instead of scrolling on your phone, shopping? And don't you just hate those credit card bills? Well, try to reduce the need to shop online by unsubscribing from store newsletters or lists of things you can buy, and delete apps that make buying easy from your phone. Caitlin Harper has also suggested challenges such as a 48-hour challenge where you write down something on a sticky note, something you want. You write down the price and you wait 48 hours. Come back to it and think about whether or not you still want that item and whether it's worth it. Here is the happy ending of this whole situation. We all know that back in 2020, when COVID-19 was arising, it was like everyone was preparing for the apocalypse. Everyone was getting their last chances to buy things in stores, and they were ready to hide in the safety of their homes. Well, that year would mark the beginning of online shopping's big boom. And according to an article by Science Direct, the authors took a dive in research where they pulled data from 206 individuals, in which it said, based on the findings of the study, it is hard to state that online shopping can vanish in-store shopping due to COVID-19, which basically leads us to know that shopping in person will return to pre-pandemic levels. Through all this information, we can conclude that online shopping is very bad for the environment by creating more CO2 emissions and overuse of trees. In order to reduce your online shopping, you can follow various steps in which I have listed. We can also conclude that in-person shopping is going to regain popularity and you have ways to safely shop online. If we want to take down a major way that our environment is dying, we're going to have to start with online shopping. Together, if we pull through and do more in-person shopping, all these percentages will decrease and our environment will become safer. Thank you.